Sounds good.
All right, with me now is Lucas Overby, the candidate for the Libertarian Party for the Florida House seat 13 that was vacated by the late Bill Young. As you have possibly heard from some of the headlines, David Jolly has now won the GOP primary. We'll be facing Alex Hink and Libertarian Lucas Overby. Lucas, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, I wanted to fit you in. I wanted to run down these top issues that were promoted by the Tampa Bay Times. They put together a list and kind of went down the two candidates and kind of ignored you. So I thought it was our due diligence to at least give you a chance to speak on each one of these. These are not my personal key issues, and they may not be your key issues, but this is the ones they chose, and those are the ones we're going to run with, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right, first one, Affordable Care Act. I guess that's you. What do you want to do? How do you want to see it refined or changed, or what are your thoughts?
Well, we've acknowledged throughout the course of our campaign. I think it's very important to remember that we've been on the campaign trail for a year now. So we've been dealing with pre-rollout Obamacare and trying to come up with solutions since last year. One of the big things that we've stuck to is there is a need for reform of healthcare in this country. The ACA just misses the mark substantially. The Affordable Care Act, being an insurance reform, doesn't go after, and in a lot of cases exacerbates the driving costs of care. We would like to see the ACA done away with and replaced with legislation that starts lifting regulation and starts to make it easier for doctors to offer care to their patients.
All right. Second topic is how would we go about deficit reduction?
Well, we stop spending, I think is going to be the key one there. We started working with a couple of deficit reduction plans after the Ryan Murray compromise, which was really just an extension of spending. And obviously, as we're learning, we're going to spend a couple trillion more into the next budget. So our key focuses have been spending reduction, but even more importantly than that, limiting bureaucracy and starting to eliminate waste. And we found, it's on our website and our Facebook, several key areas where we could make substantial cuts to the amount of money that we spend without making substantial cuts to the services that we're providing.
Okay. A local issue here, they mentioned the Florida beaches in this paragraph where they talk about oil drilling.
I believe that was decided at the state level of election cycles ago. That has nothing to do with me or my counterparts. That's going to be a state issue. Whatever the state wants to do with their own sovereign territory is up to them.
Okay. Immigration reform.
Immigration reform, we've been working with several groups locally. I think reforming our immigration laws is a very important topic. If the current ones worked, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Some of our biggest issues with it have been, we did agree to the 5 principles that were released last year by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And some of the big focuses have been path to citizenship versus immediate deportation, the cost versus the gain in both of those. And one of the offerings that we've made is changing the punitive structure surrounding illegal immigration. We are in favor of helping the individual states protect their borders better in the border areas. We think that we should make this a state sovereignty issue and get the governors and militaries back. That way we're not increasing costs massively, but allowing the governors to take care of their own lands. One of the things we have flared out is the bulk of illegal immigration doesn't occur over, under, or around a fence. It occurs from a lapse in bureaucracy, expired visas and the like. So we would like to start streamlining the bureaucracy, making the immigration process in this country simpler, easier, and less expensive.
Okay. Again, I'm not exactly sure on the inclusion of this one, but here it is. It just says abortion rights. And I'll read this one so you can see. Maybe this will help if I just say what it says. It just says, Jolly believes life begins at conception, but did not make an abortion an issue in the primary. Sink supports abortion rights. Where does Lucas Overby stand?
I don't think our personal opinions actually matter. I think abortion is a 10th Amendment issue. We don't want the federal government determining what is and isn't life. We don't have the federal government determine what is and isn't murder. Those are laws that are all determined by the states. I think that's where we need to keep that. I think Roe v. Wade was an overreach on states' rights, and it needs to go back to the states and have the states deal with it first.
Okay. The last category they have is just a general opportunity, I believe, to just try to summarize the candidate's experience. So I'll give you that equal opportunity to discuss why Lucas Overby is experienced for this seat.
As opposed to my two opponents, I actually have the most experience with private industry. I have 15 years in the commercial diving industry. I've worked with every overriding bureaucracy that the federal government and the state government has in pursuing that career. I've also worked with, on the private side, with government and state and federal contracting. I'm extraordinarily well versed in the needs and the wants of private industry. At the same time, I have just as much, if not more, legislative experience as my opponents, but it's from the opposite angle. Worked with several civil rights groups and several activist groups in writing and producing legislation.
I want to just kind of expound on that a little bit, because they made a very interesting comment here in their article. Both candidates are familiar with the county, but they need to demonstrate, understand the district's diversity. It mentions the different geographies and that kind of thing. What is your thoughts on the role of the seat, because it's a federal seat, and how it impacts the local geography there?
The demographics or the physical landscape of the county?
They didn't really say. Lucas, I'm trying to point out, be as polite as I can to the Tampa Bay Times here, but I mean, I was just sort of kind of, the article doesn't make a whole lot of sense at times, and this whole point is, the district's diversity, Clearwater, Pinellas Park, all the way down to Paso Road, whatever. So I don't know if they're talking about geography issues that correlate again to oil drilling, or if they're trying to talk about it because the dynamics of the population is so different. Either way, okay.
I think you have to address both.
Right.
I'm sure the question needed to be vague because neither of my opponents know the county that well. We'll go to geography. Pinellas County is essentially one gigantic metropolitan area. It's one of the reasons why they were able to justify the way the county was gerrymandered. As far as the diversity in the community goes, having grown up here and having spent my entire life here, I'm very familiar with not only our history as a county, but the different aspects and nuances of the people who live here. And it's something that I've been very proud to bring to the table. My experience inside of community activism and working inside of the community, I think, has given me a lot more insight than my opponents have.
All right. Well, tell everyone how they get in contact with Lucas Overby, how they support your campaign, and find out more information.
You can find us online at www.lucasoverby.com, LucaSoverby.com. That website is in the middle of being revamped, so we are having some connection problems with it. So best bet right now is to find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Lucas Overby, FOR Congress, Lucas Overby for Congress. Anybody who contacts me through there will get me. May not be immediately. Sometimes it is, and I shock people. But we are inundated with a lot of mail these days, so bear with me. But you will get a personal response from me from any questions you have about the campaign, what we're doing, and the next opportunity for everybody locally to come meet me and meet staff is going to be at the Clearwater Main Library on Saturday at noon. It's coming to the end of our January town hall series. We will be doing 6 or 7 town halls throughout Pinellas County where the constituents have been encouraged to come and vet me in person.
Sounds great. Well, I encourage you folks. We're going to put this up again. We're going to link to it in both articles. Obviously, the original post that the Tampa Bay Times and other media outlets omitted Lucas Overby from their coverage. Wanted to make sure we gave him an opportunity to at least give you the information, what he's trying to accomplish, what he will do. Many of the times these articles have noted that the candidates have not answered those questions, and I think we've done a pretty good, diligent job of allowing him to answer to each one of these and where he stands on them. Lucas, I thank you so much for fitting us in. I know you got a very busy schedule, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.